Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. We're just going to give them another minute to see if anybody else joins. I know we were expecting just a few more folks, so let's see if they do. And if not, we'll get started. Thanks again. Hi, so I'll kick this off. Thanks again for joining. Let me get Abhijit back in. We've been doing these roundtables. We typically keep about five, six people. So, like I said, there's probably a couple more that might jump in and have just discussions around what we're seeing in the space. I do have a set of questions. I'll walk you through a little bit of the kickoff, and then we make it a really informal discussion around what initiatives, how do you build a strategy, where do you go from here. And actually, it's funny because over the last 2 years, as we've been doing this, the conversations have evolved. Early on, it was very much like, how are we going to handle this? And now it's like, how do we continue down the journey? How do we build the right policies and safeguards? Things have evolved as it comes to how do you embed and bring AI into the organizations. Uh, so we've got somebody else joining right here from Spring Bank. So just in the interest of time, like so I'll kick it off. Um, Today's agenda, we'll do a very quick set of brief introductions. I'll call out folks. I'll be moderating. My name's Karan. And then we'll kind of touch on some of these, like what is your current initiative that's a high priority for you, and why now? How have you decided what works? How is organization AI being adopted? Is it top down, bottom up? Do you drive it by functions? Is it a like let's just go all in on it? Is it like individual pieces? We've got lending is really promoting it, so let's go out and talk to lending. Is there's one stage of the life cycle that you could improve? What would it be? That could be onboarding, it could be product selection, something else. Pros and cons. Again, like I said, it's going to be a fluid conversation. You may not get all the questions, but we'll try to tag team and give everybody a chance to sort of engage with some of this. What areas you might be overestimating? This one I find interesting is um, it's like the curve that comes with. So we have really high expectations. Where are you in your organization or personally in your expectations of what you're going to get from the impact of AI? And then are you doing enough? And then what exactly is enough? I mean, how do you define what enough is? How much more should we be doing, and how this is going to change things a lot? Like I said, my name is Karan Bala. I'll be moderating today. I'm the CEO of AI Vantage. I'll throw in a little sort of shout out to our organization along the way. But for today's rules, I mean, we're all professionals. Obviously, speak freely, listen fully. So let's give make sure your thoughts are heard. I'll make sure that we have minimal interruptions, and then also when anybody else is speaking, this is a meeting format. So if anybody else is speaking, let's make sure that they finish their thoughts. Time is valuable. Let's make also let's give everybody a chance there to keep things going. But we do have a limited time. I have realized that things move very quickly. So, we'll sort of, and time will pass pretty quickly. And I do encourage everybody keep, as much as you can. I realize sometimes you cannot, but if you have the chance to, please keep your cameras on. It really does facilitate a roundtable conversation around AI. And then, the session will be recorded and we will share it with all the attendees. If for any reason you feel like you do not want to, please, it's not going to be done for the next 24 hours. So for any reason, if you feel like we don't want to share, or you don't want to necessarily have your content or details shared. We share the LinkedIn, we don't share emails, but let me know, because sometimes you want to walk away with something that somebody said that might actually be of value to you. So with that, I'll kick it off. We've got a couple of folks on video, so I'll kind of start with that. In the interest of time, just a very quick background of who you are. what organization you represent, and perhaps where you're located. I can see the Vegas background there for Patricia, you. So maybe I'll start with you.
Sure. My name is Patricia Okel. I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Create Credit Union in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Very nice. Are you all in the city itself, or I mean, y'all? I mean, a good size Create. I mean, I know of Create Credit Union, so I'm presuming y'all are around the state, or how you?
We have branches throughout Las Vegas and Henderson, and where I'm at, corporate is about 20 minutes from the Strip.
Okay. I guess everything there is in context to the Strip. Hey, Abhijit, I'll reach in you for the next. Can you introduce yourself? Give a little background.
Sure. Hi, Karan. And hi, everyone. My name is Abhijit Palit, and I'm with Capital One Marketing Operations, heading up their project management and strategy team for retail banking. Been with the credit union space and in banking, both sides of the world, essentially for a long time. So looking forward to some great discussion here.
Thank you. Very excited to hear that. I know that Capital One's been hard to miss, to be very frank. I mean, you can't go very far. And very innovative in what they do, and just from what I've heard, there's quite a bit going on with the AI in that space. So we'll can't wait to hear it. Edison, I'm gonna pass it on to you. Love a quick introduction, just a little bit of who you are, where you work, and where you're located. Edison, you're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. Just one more second.
No worries. I'll move over to Andrea. We'll come back to you in a second. Andrea.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, yeah, Andrea, go ahead. Where you're based, where you're located, and sort of who you represent.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I'm with Bright Star Credit Union. I'm the Member Service Center Manager. And so I joined this call because we do not have AI in the contact center, and we're starting to explore different avenues to integrate AI and modernize the contact center.
We're definitely seeing, we can talk about that in the conversation because I know AI is coming more and more to the contact center space. It already is there. But I'm somewhat familiar with Brightstar. I used to live in Tampa for a little bit. And I know y'all are, I think, further south in southern part of Florida, right?
That's correct. Our headquarters in Cooper City, Florida, which is the sister city to Davie.
Very nice. Very nice. Kim?
Good morning. I'm going to leave
Hi.
my camera off because I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and we are having storms right now. So our power has been going up and down from the generator and back up and then down. And so I'm just, for the sake of trying to have some consistency here, I'll just leave mine off. And but like I said, I'm from Wichita, Kansas. I'm with Mid-American Credit Union. I'm the Vice President of Operations and Compliance. And I've joined today because we are just interested in learning how other financial institutions are using AI in their financial institutions, not maybe even just the typical uses, such as loan decisioning and places that were already using it for fraud management and those kind of things. But more even in the backside of the institution, are you using AI for anything unique, like vendor due diligence reviews or stuff like that? So I'm also a part of a council or a committee that is an innovation committee, and we are discussing AI too. So
Is that an internal committee or
no, the Cornerstone League for the credit unions, has a innovation committee. So innovation and engagement. Yeah, and so we've discussed AI and definitely just here to learn.
Absolutely. Perfect. And we have sort of a, I mean, this is a free to share. Obviously, if there's some corporate secrets, I'd suggest not to. But like I said, we will share the summary of the conversation with everybody who's here. So you hopefully will be able to take something away if something is said, and even if you don't sort of jot it down or anything. Edison, I'm going to come back to you. A quick introduction, who you represent, and nice to see you there, and where you're based.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. Yes, Edison Ortega, Spring Bank, manage operations, technology, and retail here at the bank. We're based out of the Bronx, small community bank. Regarding AI, just priority is implementing it. I'm just going to go through the bullet points also that you had there. It is actually top down, but obviously everybody's looking forward to using it.
So just a quick introduction. I'll go through some of those questions, and we can also brainstorm around that. No worries.
Sorry. Just we actually block AI. We're working into implementing it properly. So my goal here is just to continue to learn, see what other banks are doing. Definitely taking a look at best use cases. And my goal is to have something implemented with different departments of the bank before the end of the year. But my goal is we like to do things once so ensure it's compliant, because I don't like anyone coming back and saying you got to stop using it. Right. So if any other business organization, it'll be fairly easy to go ahead and deploy AI and start putting controls later. Obviously, being a financial institution, we want to put all those controls in place first. And that's, I would say, mainly the main obstacle that we're trying to take care of.
Yeah, I'd love to sort of get into some of that, but like we have seen an interesting shift. Like over the last 2 years, I've seen organizations that have come and said, we're pausing on AI. We want to sort of figure out, get our heads around a little bit like what you described. And there's also, we're now seeing a lot more that are going sort of, listen, we know we're going to do it. How can we do it safely in a controlled manner across the organization in different aspects? Michael, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you for joining. We were just doing a quick introduction, name, where you're from, and maybe where you're located.
Michael Priscilla, Chief Operation Officer at Telco Plus Credit Union in East Texas. We are using AI. It's a little bit patchworky. Some people are all linked into a number of, whether it's a chatbot or any type of AI tool for helping them with their jobs or not. What I'm trying to do is get a sense, I think like some of the other participants, just where other people are at with this, what kind of best recommendations for policies, safeguards to using it, and do it in a way that we can in fact encourage all of our staff to be more productive, better using of the technology, so that it benefits the credit union.
Awesome. And by the way, if we get into a discussion point, and somebody, like for example, Michael, if you have a use case on a particular thing that, say for example, Edison asks for, please feel free to either raise your hand, or if it makes sense at a pause to chime in, and just kind of go for it and help answer. Because the goal is to walk away with something. Just as something you said in one of the recent roundtables we had, I think it was roundtable 6. We had an organization that actually did share their vendor due diligence policy, because they've come up with a new one that they had modified, sort of a checklist, vendor checklist that they were using for vendors that brought in any kind of AI capability. Because I know that's something that folks, again, and she was very open with sharing it, shared it with me and said that we can share it on. So again, as a takeaway, if anybody does like at the end, when we send out the recap, I can actually include that in there. So you have, if you already have one, great. If you have one that's really good, please share with me, and we'll pass it on here too. But happy to share that with you. So again, just coming back to the agenda, real quick. Like I said, we're going to make it very simple. Just a very quick set of questions. Go around and ask folks, and I'll typically give you a heads up. Like I'll say, Abe, I'm going to ask you this probably coming up next. But maybe Patricia, I'll start with you all, if you don't mind. I mean, as an organization, what is your highest, because it used to be, is AI a priority? Now it's like, what is the highest priority that you have for AI? What are you hoping, like what project in the organization is taking top priority when it comes to an AI standpoint? And then why now?
I would I would say, so we've had Microsoft Copilot for quite a while. And I'm a CPA, so I've been going to AI CPA conferences and using AI for, I don't know, 3-4 years now, mostly ChatGPT. Copilot is new, but it was very easy to kind of transition. I learned to ask Copilot or Chat to write my prompts if I needed them to write prompts, to get a
Yeah.
more thorough answer. But as far as our organization's concerned, what we're looking at is instituting eventually agents, because we're not open on Saturday and Sunday, and I don't know about the other credit unions on the phone, but it seems like the fraudsters and the scammers tend to hit your clientele on the weekends, especially if they know you're closed. And so they tend to perpetrate our fraud over those days. So one of the things we just talked about in our executive meeting yesterday was that would be a great use case to get an agent to be able to field incoming calls from individuals that are suspecting, or maybe they just gave out their PII to a scammer to just shut down their account. We've done everything here with our mobile online user. So we have online banking, and we've gone out to them and we've created programs that if there's unusual activity, like say for instance, you have an account here and all of a sudden there's a new device that's linked to it, and then there's money movement immediately with that new device. We look at, freezing that transaction, because that's usually the MO, or, for a scammer. We're also looking at AI. We're using AI with opening new accounts. We're looking at more. We have Zest AI with our loans, and so we're upscaling that right now. And so basically we're not looking at like trying to cut FTE. We're looking at more, how do we become more efficient? So it's really across the board and what the needs are, from back office to frontline to front office. I personally use it to look at contracts.
Yeah.
I use it for generally accepted accounting principles, any ASCs where I'm looking to research accounting to see what's out there as far as the new procedures or policies, regulations, you name it. It's just such a wide gamut. And I hope I'm not talking too much, Karen.
Well, I think that's a good time to pause, but you hit on a couple of things that I think might actually dovetail into what some of the others folks were asking. Like, Kim was asking about back office, and so the contracts and some of that might fit in. And interestingly, Andrea was asking about, call centers. So I think that might be a good conversation. I think as we jump into a little bit more about how you're looking at the agent side of it. Abe, I'll ask you, because I know Cap One's leading the way, and we rarely get. This normally it's community banks and credit unions. So to have that big gun approach within your purview, what are you seeing sort of from what maybe would you say is, and I'm sure at Cap One everything's a high priority, but what would you say is sort of in your area one of the higher priorities from an AI standpoint, and again the why now, and then Michael, maybe I'll ask you next. Go ahead, Abhi.
Sure. So yes, Carol, you're absolutely right. There's just a lot going on in Cap One across various phases, whether it's in retail banking, cards, whether it's risk management, back office operations, marketing, etc. My purview is primarily on marketing operations and retail banking, so I can give you some perspective there.
Yeah.
And if there's one phrase to kind of encapsulate it all, it's like anything that has to do with the customer or the member user experience and the product development and orchestration of the experiences. I think that's the one big thing. where is it at the customer touch point, and what can we do to make ourselves better positioned, better prepared to make that conversion, educate the customer all in real time, and then kind of feed off from there and understand what multiple journeys the customer might take from there and anticipate those. So that's kind of sort of the focus. From that perspective, if I were to summarize, I think there's 2 or 3 key areas where I see a lot of focus. One is obviously in data management and getting the right things, getting the infrastructure built, because this is AI. You can't now just bandage things and, put a little code there and something there and hope it'll scale and fix some things. You have to start from scratch. If you're looking for really low latency, you're looking for real-time insights and orchestration, I mean, you've got to make sure that your data architecture is completely at the top of its game. So that's something that they've been working on for years, and it's not something that they figure out. And I think that's a work in progress, and they keep getting better and are able to build that infrastructure better and create those, APIs, plugins, and tools for enabling the AI. So that's one thing. The next thing is about personalization and a lot of testing. So A/B testing using Versado, which is sort of the de facto tool for multi-factor testing. I think that's important. Cap One wants to fail fast, learn more, and move on. That's kind of the philosophy, is that we don't have time to dwell on things that are not so well optimized. Let's understand, quickly look at things, figure out where we're going to get traction and move. So that kind of rapid scale testing helps in creating those personalized experiences at a very large scale. So that's, I think, the next area.
Yeah.
And thirdly, I've seen a lot of work in digital acquisition, funnel strategy. So specifically in the DSPs area, where they're able to integrate their internal data with, a lot of the Google data and figure out in real time during the auctions, during the DSP, auctions, as to who's the ideal candidate for a particular offer based on their browsing history, based on their customer profile, their credit, and so on and so forth. So it's looking at their internal and the external data and being able to share that with the DSPs and be able to create these complex but very effective business rules for engagement for upstream acquisition, in the upper funnel, also more helping conversion in the lower funnel. So I think those, and then of course, marketing orchestration. So looking at optimizing journeys in Salesforce. Cap One is a Salesforce shop. So being able to optimize those journeys as much as possible. I think those are some of the key areas from where I stand in marketing.
Yeah, I think you hit on a couple of, one is, I do remember reading once, I think it was a few years ago, that Cap One was doing something to the extent of like 18 to 20,000 different tests. They would test a piece of a language, a color, a placement of something in the digital and in the direct mail space. A heavy testing organization. It's always been. So the fail fast has got to be there, I guess, if you're doing that much testing. And I did like your funnel strategy and personalization. Obviously, that's, we do a lot of personalization. That's a lot of what we do, AI and personalization for community banks and credit unions. And personalization has evolved also. It's evolved significantly. So before I jump into the top down, bottom up, which Kim, I think I'll start with you all at that point. But Michael, I did want to give you a chance just to kind of talk about at Telco Plus, what is the latest priority that you have as an organization, and how when it comes to AI, and what made it now? Like, why now?
Yeah, well, there's a couple. Actually, I can think of a couple areas if we want to drill into specifics where I think AI has creeped its way in and shown that we need to expand our knowledge and understanding and implementation of it. So first off, marketing. Our marketing director loves the product because yes, it creates some standard opportunities for creating marketing campaigns for her, but it also, because it does that, it also will start her. It gives her kind of a start point where she wants to then add her creativity to a particular campaign. It allows her a greater ability to not have to think or come up from scratch with a product or a campaign that you might want to do, and that has been very helpful to her in creating some very well-written, nicely presented campaigns to send out to our managers. So that's one area that it matters for improving our use of it. The other is as somebody brought up just moments before, new membership and lending. We are looking at AI products sold through or offered through, like, for example, Check Systems has an AI fraud prevention product that's associated with their new account opening qualifier searches that they do. We're very interested in implementing that into part of the basic check system program as a means to, we've been hit, like a lot of places recently, with a lot of, check fraud scams, organized check fraud scams. Yeah. And this would be one tool that could help us on the new account side to identify people early on, whether they're really worth risk, not risk, how much risk in terms of what we offer them for services and how much we offer them with services. On the lending application side, same thing. We have been involved in indirect lending for a while, and we see that it's much more prevalent in indirect lending, where you have I'm forgetting the technical term, but created false entities out there, whether it's a person or synthetic fraud. Thank you. Being able to identify when we have a case of synthetic fraud applying for loans versus true individuals. Not so much on our existing customers, but definitely on new customers, whether it's directly through a relationship coming to the credit union or using an indirect channel as a means to obtain their business. So that area is a second area that we're looking to make sure that we can get a more robust usage of it. And the last has to do with, I want to say, I don't know how to explain this, but I'll do my best. We have a very diverse setup of management. We have some managers with a very, very large breadth of experience when it comes to compliance, knowledge, understanding of communications, and creation of documents relating to their endeavors, whether it's collections or lending or member services. And we have rather new individuals who are very green about knowing and understanding those the more subtle things about a lending disclosure or a truth in savings disclosure, and the idea that this can help newer staff develop their knowledge quicker and faster to understand, how do I create a policy for, how do I update my courtesy pay policy? How do I update my collection policy? It gives them a leg up, where up till now they've had to rely on somebody who had that, years of experience and a wealth of backlog of information. It's really trying to get somebody that's there 24/7 to help them, like our more experienced managers might have done so in the future. So I think in those three areas, we look to see it as a way of ultimately improving efficiency, making better decisions, and being able to better serve the members through developing those three areas.
Would it be safe to say that you all have made inroads into these three as well? I mean, if I were to capture, you said marketing, fraud, which is like new member, and the indirect synthetic piece, and then the third part that you were just sort of discussing in terms of almost like lending compliance.
Yeah.
And you all have made inroads into those areas. Is that sort of?
Yeah, but again, as I said when I made my introduction, it's kind of a patchwork. It's hit and miss.
Yeah.
What we want to get is a more uniform approach. Now, admittedly, it's certainly from in some of those areas, it's the person who's had more experience may not need it quite to the extent that somebody who's new or developing themselves in a particular area of expertise could benefit from. But that's just the nature of how how it works. But we want to make sure that the product is available. We have good policies and procedures in place as to how it gets used, and that the outcomes achieve what, as kind of like I've given you a 30,000-foot explanation, how the outcomes actually match what I've kind of given you as a framework of our objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. And by the way, it ties a little bit also, I think, when something that Patricia had said about we're not looking to replace people, we're trying to empower them. And that's kind of why at different levels, AI is normalizing that a little bit. Whether you're an expert or not, you can still benefit from it. Kim, let me pass that on to you, and then Edison, I'll come to you, then Andrea, I'll come to you after that too. But just from a top down, bottom up, how do you see? Because the feeling I got was that you'll have done some of the early stage stuff, and you're looking for a little bit more hidden things. Kim, what would
Yeah.
you say is where are you all at, and what is it top down innovation? How is this idea generation coming on? How do you all decide what's next?
So right now it's really a top down project. As I said, we use AI, and most of us have used AI in some way or form
Yeah.
quite some time.
Yep.
Even before we really even knew it was AI, it's set behind our card programs, working fraud for us and machine learning our members' card habits so it could stop fraud on the backside. So it's been.
So I ordered you two of the same thing. So I'm.
Yeah.
And I have.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's okay. So it's been there for a long time. But as like Patricia said, Copilot and ChatGPT came, into the mix that lets any employee, do something. We had to really think that through and put some guidelines in, some policies in, and I'm not sure that we have the right policies in yet and the right procedures in yet for how that's going to work for the credit union going forward. And that's really where we're at right now. Do we have those right policies in? Because we do want, as Michael said, we want to give our employees the tools, but we want to make sure that those tools are sitting behind our firewalls and not going out there into the World Wide Web for people to steal information that gets put into them. And, so really thinking through how are we going to, where are we going next for this? Where's some good ways? I love that that you guys said to fail fast and learn from it and move on if it's not going to serve you well. That's what we're trying to really implement. We also have a new CEO coming in the next year, and she is younger. And one of the reasons why she's been chosen as the CEO is a little more of a innovative, progressive move toward the future for our credit union. And so as she is working with our current CEO this year, we know that we're going to try some things that maybe are outside of the comfort zone of some employees. But we want to try them, and we want to do so in a safe environment for our member information. We're very conscious of cybersecurity and putting things in place that are going to cause potential issues, or even cause more issues than they're saving us from. So, but just being able to put that in there, and we 100% see the benefit of being able to put some information into Copilot and have it kick out a disclosure. And it's just like figuring out, making sure that you have the person on the backside, because sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's not always right.
Well, there's hallucinations, there's a skill gap, there's a prompt engineering aspect, there's many parts of it that create a gap sometimes in what you get back.
Yeah, and so sometimes it doesn't always know, but sometimes if you put in some past ones that you're like, yeah, that this would be wrong for our state, our credit union, or whatever, but here's something that would work, then it learns, and then it goes on, and next time it spits out something just as good. So it's interesting.
Well, we'll get there. Nobody ever questions, is my calculator giving me the right answer? I mean, at this point, we just assume it does the math right. I think we'll get there with less and less hallucinations on this too. I will tell you, just as an interesting point, you said how far everybody's evolved. When we started doing these roundtables about a year ago, maybe it was like a hint about a year and a quarter ago. The first couple of times, everybody was like, "I'm dabbling in Copilot. I'm doing this," and now and probably should have bought some Microsoft stock back then. I don't know how the stock's done, but now everybody I talk to and more organizations have done Copilot, more corporate implementations, and it is a lot harder than it sounds. It's not just I'm just going to sign up for Copilot. It really does involve a tech initiative. It involves people from technology, but Copilot, organizationally wide, seems to be becoming a far more prevalent way to create internal knowledge bases around it, so that you're protecting your internal information. Well, Edison, and Andrew, before I come to you, just Edison, I know you were saying you had paused and you were taking a pause on AI. Now you're trying to go, it sounds like almost doubling down. We've talked about a couple of different examples here: lending, marketing, Copilot internal. Andrea had agents, which I know is a big part of AI now. What are your thoughts on how are you bringing or planning to bring in innovation from an AI standpoint? Is it function based? Sort of where you at with that?
My approach over the last 9 months, and obviously, I think this is a topic that changes on a monthly basis, right? As far as capabilities.
Very
I'll
fast.
say
Very fast.
access as well, right? Before, we don't need Cap One's budget. I would love to have it, but obviously at the same time now I don't need it, and I can actually pretty much do the same. I think the biggest issue for me right now is selecting the right project that we can manage and implement first. Talking about meetings, right? Our meeting this week was basically that. I need the bank to decide which projects are we gonna tackle first. I think for my approach, it's been all about ROI, and the main reason because of that is once I have the right ROI on anything I implement, all the additional features that are gonna be nice to have are easy to just deploy. One, because I can just turn them on because most of the controls and settings are already. If I do it in commercial lending, I can basically tone it down and move it to consumer lending, right? Once I have those, actually fraud, right? So for me, the two main ones is going to be commercial lending, underwriting, and fraud. The main two items that we're going to be working on over this next 6 months as far as deploying for the bank. As I work on those, the low-hanging fruit as far as giving access to all bank staff to operations, procedures, manuals from the different core provider or tools to basically improve their efficiency. I think it'll be a turning them on as fast as I can while we focus on those other two projects. So from a bank perspective, everybody's on board. We actually had to pause because we had a big first quarter that we had to take care of everything else. Like I said, our focus was going to be on commercial underwriting, and because of this first quarter, we're like, all right, let's pause, make sure everybody can focus on what they need to do, and then start again. Basically, actually, we're just gonna start next month. So for the next 6 months is when we'll start turning everything on, put the controls in place to do right data management, right compliance, right cyber, and then basically start expanding into agents and workflows and things like that for specific tasks, and to hopefully we have a full oversight to basically improve everybody's efficiency. And the reason I go back to the ROI is because once I have those in place and some of the documentation started putting together is improve 200 to 400% of their efficiency based on the current staffing and be able to provide the same type of workflow.
What is your breakup between commercial and retail, or commercial and consumer as you described?
Well, again, volume is going to be commercials, 95%.
Yeah.
Where as far as like volume on the amount of loans compared to consumer, where consumer we're actually a double bottom line business in reality. So we actually have a lot of loan products that are for the underbanked and underserved community, and we had them forever. It was not something that we just started a few years ago when it became a hot topic. We always had that approach. So the idea is once I'm able to go ahead and deploy that with the commercial lending team, we enable it in the consumer lending team, and then allow them to do more of those products and services.
Well, Andrew, I'm going to come over to you just because I know you mentioned call center and there was some talk about agents, and I actually want to save a little bit of time to talk a little bit about agents because that's becoming a big thing. Not agents in the context you mentioned, Patricia, but just now there's a lot of talk about agentic processes. But Andrea, just kind of passing it on to you, um, top down, bottom up, what is pushing, for example, you mentioned from a call center standpoint or from outreach, member outreach standpoint, where is this push coming from? Is it just how does innovation come around in the organization when it comes to AI? And you're actually representing functions, so I'm even more curious sort of how it's come to you at that point, right?
So we just completed a major core systems conversion in March. And so,
Congratulations.
thank you. And that was a very big lift. 2 years in the making. So with that, it now presents the opportunity to be more innovative. And because we had all these ideas, but we were restricted by the functionality of a very old core system. And so with innovation and being able to do things and exploring, we now have the ability to bolt on, if you will, for lack of a better term, different ideas and systems to the core. So along that line is where most of the innovation and the push comes in. Efficiency gains. How are we going to gain efficiencies and work with the tools for continuous improvement and process improvement? We have introduced Copilot to the organization. So it's
Yeah.
across the organization in every department. So it was an interesting, statement that you mentioned. Copilot is popular everywhere now in just about
It's
all
just I've seen it every
organizations.
call I get more, it used to be one credit union, now it's or one organization, now it's like here, right here, you see. Yeah.
Right. And so we're gaining efficiencies by using Copilot,
Yeah.
just Copilot alone. But why stop there? So, in the contact center specifically, uh, we already use AI for web chat with our
Yeah.
bot. Our bot is member facing, on our website, behind in the pin in online banking. So
Are you
members
comfortable
interact.
sharing who you're using for that?
Entropy.
Eltropy, yeah. Well, we partner with Eltropy. I was just curious.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yes, and so it's very helpful. We're actually going to upgrade the bot very soon to a more conversational generative AI bot. We have the very old version. And like someone said earlier, AI can misfire and give incorrect information at times, right? And it's only as good as the information that it scrapes from wherever the source is, whether it's the intranet of the organization, the website of the organization, uh, wherever you give it permission to draw that information and present. You have to ensure that that information is correct so that AI is presenting to
Yeah.
the members correct and accurate information. And so we're in a place now where we're still cleaning up old processes and procedures from our intranet for Copilot, and then for the bot that we have for chat, we ensure that the website information is correct so it can present accurate information to the members before it gets to an actual agent. So we want to take it further now, whereas we're exploring the opportunity to put AI in the phone system and
Yeah.
have an agentic AI that's has that natural conversation. My apartment complex leasing agent, they have an AI bot that sounds like a human. They had to tell me that Haley was a bot because I thought Haley was a leasing agent. I was just like, where's Haley? I've met everyone else except Haley. They're like, Haley's a bot. It sounds so human, so real. And so
Yeah.
we want that as, our agent to present to members before they get to a human. Because, in my research, the bot can now, take action, have the members do seamless transactions in the IVR before they even get to a human being. And so that can help, you know, redirect calls or eliminate calls. And so that could be an efficiency gain, right? If we reduce the calls by putting the AI bot in front of the phone menu, do we then need as many agents? We can repurpose the agents to have them do the deeper research things that take a couple of days while AI is working on the things that can be instantaneous. And so that's where I'm looking to get to gain efficiency with AI. And there's other avenues of AI that I'd like to explore and different things that we do. There's QA AI,
Yeah,
quality assurance.
we do most of our QA testing is all automated QA AI based testing now.
I
To your point.
love that.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a human. The human can only monitor and score but so many calls, whereas AI can more than triple the amount
Yep.
of calls. And so we're looking to, down that avenue. And that would be an efficiency gain. And also it would allow us to ensure, collaborate more with training, identify trends. Are the agents saying the correct information to our members? Are they using the right tone? Are we gaining the right sentiment from the member? And if not, how do we fix that? And what do we need to train on? So there's so
Yeah.
many use cases that can come from AI in so many parts of the contact center because we have 3 channels of communication: phone, secure messaging, chat.
Yeah. Well, as you know, as being as a fintech, and we do our products is around personalization of content to members and customers. But you spend time in the fintech circles and you're at these conferences, and I kid you not, there's so much when it comes to fraud. I mean, there's very specialized. In general, there's a lot of specialization that's come up there. You obviously mentioned LTP, but like even within, I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, I know somebody who does outbound calling or inbound calling AI. Some of the early quick hits, some of the efficiency gains. So there's a lot going on in the space. Edison, I'm going to pass it to you because I know you raised your hand. Just a quick answer, and then as I said, time will fly. I do want to at least do a one round before we can wrap up. So Edison, what were you going to say? Go ahead. You're on mute.
Mute, yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you. I just took the hand raise off instead of the mute. So all this is really helpful, but to be honest, I did have a question. I don't know if
Yeah, please.
on any regulatory lessons learned as far as hallucination, bias, and access controls on agents. Does anyone has experienced that or have gone through that yet?
We're seeing a lot of I don't know if does anybody want to take a stab at it? Because we're seeing a lot. We're seeing a buildup of regulation coming on AI right now, and the regulation is coming because of the fact of hallucinations. What I will say is because we use multiple, so we have a compliance module. As in, we create content, right, and then we check it against the compliance module. We run it through traditional statistical models and 2 different LLMs to minimize. So you reduce your hallucination chances significantly. We have not seen regulations around hallucinations specifically, but I will say this on the other side, our volume of hallucinations has gone down dramatically. Like when we started building our product, probably about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, we could see 0.1% hallucinations. Now I think I'd be hard pressed. Like our compliance doesn't find anything. We keep trying to get it to catch. We have to create errors to get it to catch compliance. So to make sure that we know the compliance is actually working, we have to create hallucinations in there. But like we're talking like 0.001. So it's very low. Not saying it doesn't happen. And
Yeah.
you don't want to be
How about
the customer that gets it though.
no, and that's really good. Sorry, but I wanted to focus more on like the NCUA or the FDIC and the New York DFS when they actually come in and do the exams, when
Yeah.
they start looking at it. Because I mean, from a regulatory perspective, the regulations are there. There's risk, there's controls. They're there, right? They're expanding on AI specifically, but they're there. So I was just curious if anyone have gone through an exam
So
that has it implemented and
Yeah.
see what how that gets resolved.
Well,
or
let
if
me
they have
ask
concerns.
Patricia or Michael just real quick if you've had, because I know auditors come in, how do you address the question around AI? Because I mean, I do have an answer, obviously. I mean, you all probably do too, when it comes to AI use in the organization from a regulation standpoint. If you run into, please, Patricia, go ahead.
They're just asking if we have a policy,
Yeah.
and what is our policy?
Yeah.
That's it.
And what's our governance? around AI.
How are you
They're
checking
using-
for it? Are you making sure that right now that, yeah, it's a policy? And we are, as if you are in the credit union world at this point, we're waiting for either, the NCUA or some of these governing bodies to come out with a regulation policy. They still haven't come out on analytics, which is 5 years
Yeah.
ago. So to be honest, I think they've just come up with one around data and
So-
data use and analytics around that. So,
Well,
So, Karan, let me just reiterate there. This is an evolving space for the regulators as well. So you do exactly what you've been doing. You set up your model management governance. It's the same thing. You make sure you're compliant for HMDA, look at the model biases, and hallucination is one of those. So pretty much stay within that guideline. Look through use cases, provide some unique examples of some edge cases. So the more documentation you have, screenshots, the more audited you are, you're going to have a less hard time with the regulators when they come across those edge cases. And those are evolving. I mean, you're not going to find a perfect word here. There'll always be something. But as long as you've, dotted the T's and crossed the, I's, basically dotted the I's and crossed the T's, essentially you're good there. So it's mostly old school back. But
Yeah.
I think most importantly is to have the human in the loop and be able to present everything in a way that your internal audit understands, be in sync with the legal team, have have these little artifacts that are very easy to present to the regulators. So put your best foot forward for the regulator. But yeah, there'll always be a surprise or two. But as long as you've done the best you can under circumstances, I don't think you're going to get dinged unnecessarily. That's just my
Michael, I know
experience.
you started to say something. I'll give you just a minute to chime in on that.
I was just going to say that it seems to me that anytime you get a new product, a new service, a new toy, so to speak, the regulators are always going to be. I mean, they don't have experts right away on a lot of the stuff that comes down the pike, right? They're still not completely, when it comes to the credit union industry, they have product specialists, and now for the first time, you kind of can see product specialists, whether it be commercial lending or indirect lending or some specific type of area of credit union governance, that they have a wider, more robust group of people that can come in to actually dig in and look at your products and services and what you're doing. I think the earlier advice about making sure you have a foundation of good policies and procedures is your best starting point, because what that at least gives the regulator a feeling is that you're not just going at it, you're not cowboying it, you're not just making it up as you go along, and
Yeah.
that gives them comfort, because they don't have to start panicking or rushing to find somebody or something that can go in and take a deeper look or a deeper dive. And that's not to knock against them. I think that's just the dynamic of how a bureaucracy works. It's not going to necessarily stay ahead of what's going on in the consumer world.
Yeah, you get innovation and then you get regulation. You don't, it has to come that way. It's not the other way around. So I think, Edison, it's a valid question. I think we're at a point, and I mean, if organizations, I think, that are waiting for all those checks to be checked off, are already starting to sort of realize that they might be lagging a little bit behind the ones that aren't. So just again, in the interest of time, I know we're down to the last 6 minutes and I won't speak. I'll give everybody a minute. A parting thought, I have 2 questions, so take a stab at any. Are you overestimating, underestimating the impact it'll have in your organization or personally? Or are you doing enough? Go with, are you doing, and I guess it kind of ties in the two there, but are you doing enough or are you overestimating? Kim, I'll let you go first. I caught you off guard. I can pass it on.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I was just
Patricia
trying to
next
find-
after that.
I clicked on the wrong thing.
No worries.
So I think, so personally, just my experience tells me
Yeah.
everybody is up to recently, and I think very recently, been underestimating the impact of AI on financial institutions across the industry, and no matter how big or how small you are, because AI gives the smallest institution as much power as it gives the biggest institution. So I do think that it's very impactful. I mean, fintechs are a perfect example of how innovation can truly impact our environment. So I think it's up till very recently. Now, I do think that most recently everybody is really thinking through AI and what more can it do for us? Because like I said, we've been using it for years and years and years. Everybody has. If you have a card program, you've been using it. But what more can it do for us, and how can it not get rid of our people, but allow our people more time so that we can do more things for our members and for our customers?
Absolutely. Patricia.
Just to be very succinct, I think we're underestimating. I mean, things are changing so quickly. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we head in every direction.
I think the next few years. Sorry, go ahead. You were going to say. I was sitting with my son. My mother's visiting from overseas, and so my son and I were sitting down together, and someone we started talking about AI, and he goes, Grandma, in 5 years I'll get a call from somebody, and it'll look like you and sound like you, and I won't even know it was you. I think we were talking about AI and AI fraud. I was like, well, buddy, let me stop you. It's not 5 years. This actually could happen today. Like I was like, if you speak at conferences, or if you're out there, or you're on video, or your social media, your voice is already out there, your video's out there. We're not that far from that being a reality today. If any of you all see, what is it? James Stickley, or does Stickley on security? There's a speaker that goes out there and does these use cases in these presentations. It was really fun.
Well, can I say that's already happening to our members today? Members are getting fraudulent calls that they think are from, Danica Patrick, and they're getting videos and they're talking to Danica Patrick, and they think they're in this relationship. And so all of our members are already experiencing that because the fraudsters are already out there using it.
I'm waiting for my call from Danica Patrick, just so you know. Andrea, what about you?
I just hate to disappoint you, but our member is marrying her in just less than a couple of weeks here. So,
Andrea, what about you? Overestimating 100% clearly, because I know that even within one environment, you've given a lot of examples early on as to things you're looking at. Are you doing enough, or do you have a plan to do enough?
Definitely underestimating. Because AI is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up, and we're doing enough for the period we're in now.
That's good. That's actually
right.
Really good.
And so we're pacing ourselves, and because integration with AI, we need a roadmap, like a 2-year to 5-year roadmap, and then I think we also have to research what new innovations happen as we go along to make sure we remain current, because it's changing so fast.
Absolutely. Michael, parting thought.
Well, I kind of believe that it is going to be something that we have underestimated, and I don't think it's going to be in a negative way with it necessarily. I know that there's the initial fear was it's going to put thousands of people out of work, and I don't necessarily see that. I think it's going to create new opportunities of how people manage the use of the tool, as much as it may end certain ways we do work, but it also may create new ways that we do work. So I think there's going to be a trade-off between, with any type of technology, it creates new jobs as much as it may end old jobs. And I think that's going to be to me, that's the interesting part of where it's going to go, as to what new things is it's going to create in the way that people do their jobs, that we will have to incorporate as part of doing our jobs to be better at what we do. So that's kind of where I see it. And I'm hoping that, like I said, we get we do the investigations, we do our due diligence, and we put it in place. Because you had a telling statement earlier. Somebody had a telling statement earlier that you wait too long, you might miss the boat in some respects in terms of taking advantage of what's happening right now. So better to start now than, even if it's in small steps, than to wait till it's perfect. If you wait till perfect, you're never gonna be executing any orders.
We're in two cohorts. One's with the Bankers of Texas, and we're trying to get into the cohort with Filene, and both of them, all the other cohort participants are all AI. I mean, like that's the extent. That's where this innovation is coming from. It's transforming of a lot of existing pieces that are out there in the marketplace. Operations, loan, lending, all of these areas are being touched by that. Edison, Andrea, thank you.
Real quick, underestimated, and don't have enough time to actually. I will have to stop doing everything else I'm doing just to keep up with the capabilities of AI. So I'll just keep chipping away. In reality, actually keep stopping this using AI, and unfortunately, I wouldn't officially say this, but using shadow AI to continue and get better at my job. So definitely looking forward to what will be available tomorrow.
I'm using it to get better at mine. So yeah, we had a plan to hire 4 programmers this quarter. We've only hired 2 because we brought in Cursor and Claude. All of our program now, a lot more folks are doing review of code rather than actual coding. It's just happening. Abhijit, to wrap up,
sure.
what are the big guys thinking? Underestimating? I don't see Capital
No.
underestimating anything.
Nobody knows where this is going, especially when AGI kind of unleashes its potential. So really, we're going to pivot to agentic workflows for now. That's going to scale up. There's going to be a lot of orchestration next 2 to 3 years. But once AGI really builds up, we don't know. And there's just so much more bandwidth. And now that you're going with 2 nanometer silica chips, that level of latency, I mean, the ability to do so many things. I mean, you can have wealth management, decision making, all that offshore. But I do agree with Michael. This is just going to create a new set of jobs. That initial thing that, okay, this is going to take away everything. No, it's going to, I mean, Microsoft Word came in, Excel came in. Before that, we were in calculators. That created a new set of jobs. Every innovation, every disruption creates that uncertainty, and then we get to a steady state. Except that this time, this steady state in AI is not going to happen quickly. So, as Edison said, keep doing the use cases, focus on what needs to be done, and move with the times. The steady state. Don't wait for the steady state to basically start your innovation. Totally agree with that.
As you were speaking, I see the highway behind Kim's office, and I was thinking how cars or transportation used to be really slow. We've gotten faster and faster. I think just things will get faster, but that will be the new norm. We don't ever think how fast planes fly anymore. We know how they fly fast, right? It'll just be faster. Or maybe we'll go to a 4-day work field.
If you keep watching, it might be a plane too, because we're right by an airport.
Well, or we'll go to the Elon Musk 4-day-a-week model. What is he going to say we get there? But anyway, thank you everybody for joining. Really do appreciate it. Sorry we went a little bit over. Really value everybody's input. Thanks again. Like I said, we'll share a summary tomorrow, so you have a little bit of and I'll share some LinkedIn profiles with everybody, so you can connect if you'd like to.
That'd be great.
Again, really appreciate everybody's time. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Kim,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.